Okay, so this is the Node.js benchmarking work group meeting, November 19th. So far in attendance, we have Ali Sheikh, Michael Dawson, Trevor Norris, Gareth Ellis, Adam Power, and Surya Yaga. I think I didn't get your last name right, but sorry about that. Okay, just in terms of the agenda for this week, I have on there the following things: a roundtable just to talk about what we've each been doing since the last meeting, reviewing the actions for last meeting, and then review the discussion issues that have been opened in terms of the list in the repository. Is there anything else that people want to add on to that?
I basically want to talk about the Acme Air benchmark a little bit. So at some point.
Okay, so let's add that into because that's where are we here? Let's just put that right after the roundtable. Okay, so in terms of roundtable, I can start, or maybe we should just go in the order of the list in the notes. So Ali, if you want to start.
From the point of view of benchmarking, actually I haven't been up to anything related recently, so I don't have anything to report.
Okay, I'm next. Specific to benchmarking, the things that I've been working on since we last met, and I can't remember when we got the machines in, so we do have a machine added, a dedicated benchmark machine, which is a bare metal machine. I've just started playing really to add some jobs into the CI to run some benchmarks. I spent some time looking at the existing benchmarks that are in the benchmark directory within the node tree. The one that looked interesting to start with was the footprint benchmark. It's fairly straightforward. It reports a single number and is probably interesting data to have. So I've started by creating a job that basically runs that and runs that single test, which is really a one-liner that just reports the residence set size. And I did a little bit of work to just push that over to another machine that has a database on it, store that data in the database. My next step is a simple, likely PhantomJS based app, which will then convert that into a graph. And I've added in the repo under the experimental directory just a couple of the scripts of what I've been using. So I'm just trying to find a very simple set of patterns to just be able to capture data. Once we have that, then we could start adding additional benchmarks relatively easily, I think. Next on the list is Trevor.
Nothing in regards to benchmarking.
Okay, Gareth?
Yep, so I guess I'm new here. I've been trying to expand the number of tests that we're running specifically to do with footprint. I can start contributing some of these back. We can see if they're useful or not.
Sounds good. Udom? Did I get that right? Udom, are you still on? Okay, I guess maybe we'll come back. Surya? Oh, I think Surya dropped. Okay, so Chris.
So the only stuff I've been working on recently relating to performance isn't something I think that's directly of interest to the workgroup at the moment, but it's around event loop latency. So the fact that we've got a number of people measuring application performance in terms of HTTP responsiveness, and that misses out on the amount of time it takes to get an event scheduled into the event loop. So what they're seeing in JMeter doesn't match what they're seeing at the application. So we're starting to look at how we can measure the performance of the event loop, so event loop scheduling latency, so that we can actually get true performance numbers from the application side rather than having to look at it from the load driver like JMeter.
Now, do you mean between like when a connection is actually received by the server and the time difference between that and when Node handles it?
Yeah.
Okay. Be interested to know what you're doing in that area.
Yeah, it's just what we're investigating how to solve at the moment, because yeah, there can be quite a bit of lag time between the request actually making it to the server and Node being able to handle it as an HTTP request, particularly if the event loop's saturated.
Okay, let's see. So I guess Udom, before we move on, or have you joined back in? Nope. Okay, so let's maybe move on. So I guess Ali, you wanted to bring up Acme Air.
Yeah, so I've been running the benchmark, and it actually looks pretty reasonable to me as a let's say like a facsimile to an app server. Questions I had were, is the GitHub repository actively maintained? Because the issues on there don't seem to be receiving any responses, and I was wondering if I should send pull requests for the benchmark to get it updated, because it's slightly out of date from a dependency point of view. Or do you know the answer to this one?
I think it is. My understanding is it should be actively maintained, and there's Yang Li, who's an invite to this meeting, is one of the people who's involved in that. So I think we should reach out to her and confirm that that's the case. And yeah, I think asking that it be updated is the issue that with current dependencies it won't run, or it's just that they're a bit stale, so it's not going to be as accurate as we'd like.
I think some of the dependencies are fairly stale, so it would be nice for them to be more recent and more representative of what actual programs do.
Yeah, no, I think that would make sense then.
The second question I had on that one was from a while back. Michael, you said you were looking at making an easy-to-run version of the benchmark, like a single container. I'm wondering if there has been progress on that.
Yeah, unfortunately, I haven't made progress myself. Now, I have been talking to Surya, who also works for IBM, and he had some people who were looking and working in the same area, so I was hoping to leverage that to end up with something that we can then put into the CI. So I think no progress to report now, but that's still something that we have as our goals, and we'll get at some point.
Yeah, this is Surya. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yes, I can now.
Okay, great. Yeah, actually, we forked from the main Acme Air node branch, and what we are doing right now is to take this monolithic benchmark and make it a microservices benchmark. So we're actually re-architecting this to separate different services, make it independent. That's exactly what we are working on right now. And the idea here is, even though we are starting with the Acme Air node, right now all the services are node implemented, but our plan is to make it polyglot and look at one of the services is Java, one is Node. So that in that area we are working right now.
So that we probably want to get together, like we still want to get a node-only version into the community CIs, at least as a first starting point, right?
Yeah, I think we do have the node-only version. We didn't change much of that. Basically, what we're doing is we took that monolithic one and divided this into independent microservices. right? Like for instance, customer service or auth service, authentication service, and flight reservations and all that. And then one main Node app, talking through REST calls to each of these different services. But other than that, we haven't changed any of the logic, or we haven't touched. The main idea is when we run the monolithic, and then when we run same thing in a microservices mode, we would like to understand the performance and scalability aspects. So that's what we're working on.
Yeah, I think we just discussed you helping out in terms of getting something that I could add to the CI. A single machine config that we could install and run.
Yes, we didn't touch base. So, do we have the software and everything ready now? Right.
Yeah, there's a dedicated machine in the CI. Basically, that's where I've started to add this first footprint one, mostly because once we run a benchmark, we have to capture the data and put it there. So I'm using that one to work through that. But yeah, we're basically ready to go with the machine.
Okay. Yeah. I think maybe you and I can talk offline on this, Michael. Yeah, we can definitely help there.
Okay. Any other Acme Air things to discuss?
Nope.
Nope. Okay. So the action that I had was was an extended invitation to meeting from somebody from the V8 performance side, which I believe is complete. I think it was Seth that you invited, right?
That's right. And I think he was here last time, but I don't think the meeting actually happened.
Yeah, he definitely was. So yeah, no, he's engaged. He reached out to me, so that's going to consider that closed. In terms of then the issues, I went through the issues yesterday, and I didn't see any new updates on them since the last meeting. So I don't think there's necessarily anything to discuss there, except there was one new one opened. I think Gareth, you opened that one, so maybe you can take us through that.
Yeah, sure. So the regressions that I've seen are in two benchmarks that we've been running for a while. And the ones that predecessors to me implemented. So it's a JS bench and also Kraken. These are both very heavy JavaScript. Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yep.
No.
Okay. So both of these benchmarks, they're trying to exploit the JavaScript engine. So there's versions of them for testing other browsers and things like that as well. When we upgraded to version 4, we noticed this regression, which it prints out a lot of metrics. So the worst ones, I think, are up to about 60% regressed. This is comparing version 4 to 12.7. I've tried to investigate whereabouts, which bit of code it is that's running now slower by using, for example, like V8 Profiler and also AppMetric and various things like that. But at the moment, I've not really managed to come to much of a conclusion because obviously there's been quite a change between 12.7 and version 4, so the code path seems to be completely different. I was wondering if anybody else had run these benchmarks or similar ones and seen similar regression when getting to version 4. I've tried to investigate whereabouts which bit of code it is that's moving now slower by using like V8 Profile.
So I guess these are both node benchmarks, right? Or like Kraken is a node benchmark, right?
Yeah. Well, yes.
Correct.
Sorry. Yep.
And the other one you mentioned was
JS Bench, which again it's a benchmark that is it has a number of just a number of JavaScript files which has been brought into the benchmark npm to execute it a number of times and then time how long these functions are taking to run.
Right. Yeah, I was just wondering if they were things that the V8 would potentially be running, but it sounds like they're not. That I guess it's like in terms of the V8 benchmarks, the Octane benchmarks, do they test significantly different things?
Yes, I think so.
So looking at just the name of the benchmark, like imaging.desaturate, I don't think there's anything like this in the Octane suite that I know of.
Okay, so I guess the question is to the audience here, anybody else seen this particular issue for those kind of tests? I think silence means no. So the next question is, what's a reasonable action plan on our part? So I guess it's like, do we think these are going to these represent one of the use cases that we need to cover for the node benchmarks? And I guess if so, then maybe if we've seen a regression in recent time, maybe they're a good one to start adding the.
So I can.
Yeah.
But as I understand, the Kraken benchmark and the Octane for that matter, they stresses only the virtual machine, for example, the V8, and it won't test the way the Node.js is used right today, the
Right.
networking feature and all that.
Okay, so if we think it's really stressing the runtime, I guess the question is if it's not covered by Octane, Ali, do you think there's any scope for suggesting that they expand that to cover that particular case?
I think there's two steps here, right? So first step is there's a regression, and that's not really a benchmarking issue. It's a performance issue that needs to be independently investigated. And then there's a separate question of whether they're representative and whether they make sense for Node to benchmark, or whether they make sense for V8 to benchmark.
Right.
But I think the starting point would be to just understand what the benchmark does and what the performance regression is.
Okay, so Gareth, is that something you're going to be looking at?
Yeah, I can certainly go away and maybe see if there's other people that we can pull in who have a good understanding of how Node would go through with these, and then we can see if it is something that is going to possibly affect users' workloads, or if it's just simply a case that we wouldn't see normally used outside of benchmarking.
So maybe the action is that for the next meeting, if you can report back what you've learned, and then we can figure out what the next step is based on that.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay. So then I guess that's the end of the issues. Again, I think there's a lot of work we can do in those issues in terms of defining our use cases and micro benchmarks. We haven't made a lot of progress, so if people do have cycles, please look at those issues and contribute, because I still think we have the right set of next actions. We just got to get some cycles to work on them. Otherwise, is there anything else people want to talk about?
Michael, this is Uttam from Intel.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were here, but somehow our microphone wasn't working, but now it's working.
Okay.
And Steve Dorman is also with me.
Okay, great.
So for me, I've been working on getting this Acme Air to run on my box, and benchmark it. How to benchmark the website? The Acme Air's website, I believe, was not clear enough, because this is the first time I'm looking at that benchmark. What exactly are we measuring with Acme Air? Can we do it from the command line? I don't want to go to the browser and run different queries. Is there a way we can do it from the command line, and what is the expected metrics after the run?
Oh, Surya, can you jump in there? Because I know you've been running, your team's been running it fairly extensively.
Yes. We do have, we don't run normally, through browser, but of course we'll be testing it, when after we deploy. But the main thing is actually we have a JMeter script that we have around 14 or 13 or 14 different operations that, different API calls. We have a different, transaction mix. So we run all those, and we do have a final kind of transactions per second kind of a metric. That's how we run this benchmark. So are you looking at the JMeter script or something like that?
I've not. I just installed it. I got it working on my box. Now the next step I want is how do I benchmark it? And one of the things I was thinking, how do I do it from the command line?
You will do that with the JMeter script. You can actually run it through the command line. Actually, there is a JMX script you can use, and if you have JMeter, the normal any performance driver, right?
Yeah. Like in the Acme Air repo, there's an Acme Air driver project, and that contains the the JMeter driver for Acme Air.
Yeah, you need to use that to.
Okay, I'll give it a try. Thank you.
Okay, any other things to discuss?
I just wanted to add to, I think, the message to Garrett that I made, because we know Kraken and Octane, these are normally a client benchmark. They run in a browser. But I have a copy of those. I made the changes to run with Node.js, and it was very small change. If he's working with any of this workload, maybe I can be part of it if he needs any help or anything.
Okay, good. That sounds interesting.
Okay.
Okay, that sounds good. I guess if there's any questions on how you run Acme Air, or like what numbers we should be using, maybe it's clear once you start using the JMeter driver. But if there are questions, us having an issue where we document how we believe it should be run for Node would be useful. So keep that in mind as you move forward with them, if there's something we should document there.
So have you ever tried Apache Bench to test in Acme Air before, or that is not the right driver?
We have driven only through JMeter.
Okay.
I think also for running through JMeter, there is an extra add-on as well as the JMX script that you need to install into JMeter to allow it to drive the load.
So I guess I'd say, feel free to open an issue if you run into additional questions, and then hopefully Surya and Gareth can keep an eye open and comment on those if they do happen. Okay, any other things to talk about this week? Okay, if not, I will schedule another meeting, to, say 3 to 4 weeks. That seems to be about the interval that's reasonable at this point, where we can catch up on, the things we've done and any progress on the issues. Okay, thank you. Talk to you later.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.